AJ, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Good morning, friends, and welcome to 1 Million Cups Fairfax. And we are glad you made it this morning. Next slide, please. So we are part of the Kaufman Foundation. We work with communities to help entrepreneurs solve problems they face in their business. Next slide, please. So we are local and we are national. We are about presentations, not the pitches, building authentic connections, not networking. We run for the community, by the community, and radically and intentionally inclusive. Next slide, please. So we welcome our visitors. If you are a first-time visitor or haven't been here for a while, please raise your hand, and when called upon, tell us your name, your company name, how you heard about us, and who invited you to the event. Jen?
Debbie, would you introduce yourself first, please?
Yes. Good morning. I'm Debbie Woodbury, CEO and founder of Meritology Institute. I provide professional development trainings to professionals and leaders, and I also coach. I heard about you from a fellow entrepreneur. She's in another group, but looking forward to being here today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Troy?
Hi, good morning. My name is Troy Lee. I'm currently an IT PM at Booz Allen. I'm switching over focus to an authorship and entertainment focus in the fictional writing world, and actually prepping it for screenplay. The manuscript was already done. I heard about this forum from my good friend Patrick, who's on the call with me right now, and I thought this was an exciting place to come and collaborate and learn more.
Thrilled to have you join us.
Thank you.
And Sonal, if I'm saying that correctly, if I'm not, please do let us know how best to say your name.
That's right. So good morning, everybody. This is Sonal Thakur, and I am representing today Spark R2 Digital Solutions. We are the marketing solution company that helps small businesses, small to mid-sized businesses, and the healthcare grow digitally. We are AI powered using all the latest and greatest technology. And I heard about 1 million from one of the entrepreneur that I came across during the other meetings.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Roberta and then Joe.
Hi, my name's Roberta Talmadge. I heard about this group from Russ McIntosh, which I heard about from the Women's Business Center, Virginia. So just feel so supportive as I open a new nonprofit, just got IRS 501c3, and it is, thank you so much, Jen. And it is just a very small product to help families at the moment they receive a medical diagnosis that is really about a crisis. So thank you so much for welcoming me to 1,000 Cups.
All right. Joe, who's our presenter today, you'll get a chance to introduce yourself later, but if you want to introduce yourself briefly now, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah. Joe Rajendran. I am with, I'm a financial advisor with Financial Growth Partners, and I heard about you guys via ChatGPT. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of stuff that I was looking into as far as nonprofits and things like that. I work with nonprofits all the time. And there was one that I was actually looking for the Richmond chapter, and it turns out the Richmond chapter was non-existent when I was looking for it. And the closest thing was either the Loudoun County or the Fairfax. And so I chose Fairfax. So happy to be here.
Yay, we're glad you chose us. Anybody else that's new? If not, please do. I think, Patrick, if you want to introduce yourself, and then Michael. We have
Yes,
two more.
I can do it. Hi, my name is Patrick Arduino. First time here. I don't have a business yet. I have a few in mind, but I always have some good ideas. So I think it's kind of a good venue for me. But once I get everything, all the kinks worked out in my mind, I think I'll go ahead and press on and start those businesses. A friend of mine, Dennis, told me about this, and I'm just now getting around to doing it. And I brought my friend Troy. He's very business minded, so I know he would enjoy this as well. So thank you for having us.
Perfect. And then Michael.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael. I am new relatively to the Fairfax area. I came down here about 3 months ago from New York, and I met a gentleman, my computer guy. So I am going to be doing some sales for him. I've been a social worker for 25 years, so I'm just giving a try at something different. And he told me about this group, and here I am hoping to meet people and make connections.
Fantastic. Your sound was keeping us in suspense and then it cleared up. So we're glad you joined us.
Oh,
All
good.
right. It's all good now. Thank you. All right, AJ, I think that's it. And back to you for everybody
Thanks,
else to
Jen.
introduce yourself in the chat.
All
Of
right.
course.
Thank you, Jen. Glad to be back. So we want to grow our participation. If you can scan the QR code, check in, and also invite your friends to attend and benefit from these events. And also, it helps us show Kaufman Foundation how active and engaged we are in the community. Next slide, please. All right, so we cannot do this without our organizers and ambassadors. In fact, we are always looking to recruit new organizers. And if you are interested, please let us know. And we are supported by Fairfax Economic Development as well as Veterans Growing America. Thank you. And next slide, please. So today we have two sponsors, George Mason, who helps us, who let us use their facility once a month for our in-person events and biz apps. Jen, can you talk about George Mason, please?
I thought you would never ask. Happy to. Mason Enterprise Center Fairfax is an incubator in Fairfax. It's part of the larger George Mason ecosystem supporting business owners in Northern Virginia. What's unique about MEC is they not only provide space, which is a bit obvious, they also have virtual memberships. They have over 20 mentors now, and it's fantastic. It's all included, all about helping you grow. They also collaborate with SBDC. And they have an ICAP program, which is all about commercialization and helping companies do that. One of the things that you may not know is they have a program called Soft Landings, which works with companies around the globe. I want to say over 10 or 20 countries. I'm getting the final number for this year, where they've all actually set up shop here at MEC in the incubator to launch into the US market. So just some interesting facts. They've been a great partner. We have a lot of their business owners also come and present here. So just wanted to share that. I'll put a link to their website in chat. They also host lots of events and programming. It's just a great networking group, and we're glad to have them. With that, AJ as our coffee sponsor.
Thank you, Jen. And good morning, 1 Million Cups, AJ from BizApps. Well, imagine your marketing running on autopilot, converting visitors into customers. And we exactly offer this at bizappsforme.com. You see, most companies are stuck with disconnected ads, videos, and campaigns that just don't deliver. And we fix that. At BizApps, you get a suite of AI-powered tools, tactics, and strategies all built to work together. We turn each touch point, physical and digital touch points, into interactive, measurable, and high impact market assets. And the result is higher engagement, better conversions, clear ROI, and campaigns that scale instead of stall. So whether you are a financial advisor or real estate, retail, healthcare, manufacturing, or anything else, we have something for everyone. Thank you. Next slide, please. So while we are in the meeting, please mute your microphones and phones and be courteous and respectful. After the presentation, you will have a chance to ask questions one at a time, and when ready, please raise your hands. Next slide, please. So today's presenter is Joe Rajendran. Joe is the financial advisor with Financial Growth Partners. So Joe, the floor is open to you. Go ahead and present.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. And yes, I am a financial advisor. Prior to that, I had a little bit of background in medicine before pivoting into finances during my medical school era. And here I am doing this for years now. Never enjoyed anything more. And glad to have you guys here. Like I mentioned, it's it was a strange circumstances of events how I found about Million Cups and a lot of things were like, "Hey, are we going to have this today?" or things like that. But Jen came through, and she was clutch in crunch time, and here I am. So, being that this is my first time, I'd like to expand a little bit more about what it is that I don't do, because a lot of people assume that, financial advisors pretty much do everything. The only thing that I cannot do is accounting services and banking services. So outside of that, I do it all. But today, that's not the point of today. Today, it's more so about education, financial education, and how we can take that to corporate events and to the corporate marketplace. And the biggest thing that I want to, the biggest challenge that I'm trying to find out is how do I find employers who care about their employees? Everybody says that, but how can I best present myself in that position? So, my offer to them, and you would know this with any kind of financial professional advisor, the harsh reality is, hey, I can help anybody, but unfortunately, I cannot help everybody. So, how do I compensate for that? And education is the way, that's my bread and butter to go to market with different businesses and different business owners and giving them an opportunity to really care for their employees. So outside of the personal book of business and everything that I've built today, I want to say I'm going to focus on expanding this new scope that I'm kind of spearheading for the firm with bringing financial education as like a fractional employee benefit is the best way I can put it. So we can help tackle a lot of hidden problems and stress that employees are dealing with that the employers are not aware of. And it's costing the employers a lot of money. The hidden cost of running business is hemorrhaging thousands of dollars every year per employee, and I can pull up some research to back that up. But the idea is we want, as a firm, to be a community asset for these business owners, help restore and redeem relationships with their employees, and all do it under the guise of education and financial education. So that's why I'm here today. Before I delve deeper, a little bit more about Financial Growth Partners, what we're doing here, and how we come about. So if you'd allow me a few minutes here. Yes, I have a little bit of background in medicine and I'm a financial advisor, but Financial Growth Partners was actually an intentional project, a passion project, if you will, that ended up being a successful business for us in the tail end of 2022. We used to work at big firms, any of the big firms that you can think of. All the advisors that are with Financial Growth Partners were there. And then we got tired of the cookie cutter way of they were doing things and a little bit more of the toxic sales driven mentality that they had. So we branched off and started something in 2022, and thankfully a lot of our clients followed us, and we were able to be profitable even from the early point on. But we started off with one office in Reston, Northern Virginia, and in about 2.5 years we have an office in Richmond, Charlottesville, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg, Hunts Valley, Pennsylvania, Wilmington, Delaware, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I guess we're having one in DC instead of sorry, one in Maryland instead of DC. We were debating about that. So we've grown. We've grown substantially in the Mid-Atlantic region, primarily because we want to be a community asset. And that was the idea, right? We can help anybody, but we cannot help everybody. And along that line is how can we make Virginia and the places and the offices where we are planted, how can we bloom and be prosperous in that area and be a valuable community asset? And for me, that comes along with financial education and literacy. I don't know about how you guys, went through your life experiences, but it seems like it was almost intentional that no one has talked about financial literacy and things of that nature. And our goal is to go get a job, make money, but no one tells us how to sustain it, how to properly manage it. And the idea for the financial workshops that we're presenting is how can we make the employer look good in the eyes of the employee? And how can we add on to the benefits that the employers provide for their employees, particularly if you're less than 100 employees, anywhere between 20 and 50 employees. And what we've curated is 3 seasonal workshops that we can come in and present to different employers for their employees and give them access to some proprietary information, proprietary software, and say, what can we do? Can we actually go back to a little bit of slide before, Jen? Thank you. And the reason why we curated this is because we've done research with PwC, Prudential, all of our competitors. And what we found out was a third of the employees, I want to say around 35% of the employees are distracted by their finances while on the clock. And that's costing employers a lot of money. Just not to think about the money for a second, we're also thinking about how that manifests and affects the employee. That results in absenteeism, being placed on short-term disability, leaving the job, forcing the employer to, hire more temps, pay recruiting agency tens of thousands of dollars for things that they don't know if it's necessarily going to be a cultural fit for the employee, and rinse and repeat the same cycle over and over again. So we want to make sure that we are solving a lot of problems for the employers and stop the hemorrhage of money by addressing this crucial problem that the employees are facing while they're on the clock. If we can go to the next slide, and we take it through the education aspect of it. So it is a 3-part series for us to build the workshops here. Of course, the other top 3 are for my personal book of business. I'm not necessarily talking about that. We can go to the next slide. And yeah, so our offer is we can diagnose the underlying financial stress by taking an informative approach. We go talk to the employer, get a copy of their employee benefits package, and diagnose not diagnose, but pull out some benefits and some key criteria that we can implement into the workshops and have a more relevant conversation with them. Ideally, we're targeting people that are between 20 and 50 employees to talk about their overall well-being. And then we want to ultimately restore and repair the relationships that employers have with their employees in places and in areas that is easily restorable and redeemable. And that's in the world of finances and financial education. Because think about it. You're spending 40 hours with your employer on average. If you think anyone has leverage in transforming the lives and the trajectory of someone's lives, it's the employer. As much of the employers not like to admit that, as much as the employers would say, hey, I don't know if there's anything that I can do to improve the health and well-being beyond the benefits that I deliver. Well, I'm saying, well, there's a lot more that you could do, and we can start off with financial education. So that is the ultimate goal of the ultimate problem solving, is to not just help one side of the table. It's to say, how can we bridge the talent with the entrepreneur? And we want to draw from our background, my medical background, to work with smaller medical practices, as well as smaller law firms and things like that. And we want to ultimately be a community asset in this new mission that we're driving with folks. So as you can see, the target audience for us is 25 to 50 employees. We can do webinars, in-person seminars. Ideally, I'd like it to be in person, and ideally they're in the Mid-Atlantic region. But ultimately, working with us, you also get access to other companies and other resources that can impact workplace culture, provide some empirical data on how to improve it, as well as potentially reduce some costs on the 401k plans and bigger benefits side of things. Right now, we're doing just networking and word of mouth, hence I'm here. But I'd love to get your ideas on how to target those COIs to scale what we're doing right now. Because we've done these workshops like, dozens, if not hundred, if not like tens of, I want to say close to like 50 times. But the idea is instead of people relying on Google and ChatGPT, we want to build something a little bit more customized to each company when we're going through these workshops and provide relevant education for the employees and make sure that our workshops are designed to help people and also empower them to gain ownership to help the employees ask questions with some of the financial people that their employers may have already partnered with to hold them accountable. So that's the idea. I know there's a lot that was being said there, but hopefully the biggest challenge that we are facing is just, hey, how can we make these in-person workshops be more in person and help employees and help employers and improve overall financial wellness. But that's the biggest thing. That's my presentation. Thank you guys for having me. I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Joe. That was great. I know that provided a lot of detail. Again, just to remind folks, we'll be doing Q&A discussion from now till probably 9:45. We would love for people to ask clarifying questions, share ideas and insights. What I would ask, Joe, of you and all of our attendees, just keep your comments and answers concise. Doesn't mean you need to sacrifice an answer and just say thank you. If you need to follow up with a short answer, Joe, you can. We just want to make sure we get as many questions as possible. For attendees,
Sure.
do raise your hand if you are interested in asking a question. You can also drop it in chat. We will be watching chat and we can ask questions on your behalf as well. So who would like to kick us off? Brad, I'm going to go to you and then AJ.
Oh, good morning, Joe. Just thank you so much for presenting. Just coming here as somebody who lives and works in Lancaster, it was nice to see my hometown in your coverage area.
Mhm.
And just coming from the perspective of somebody who has worked in the office of the Lancaster business, I know the CEO of my former company that ended up selling to a company in Texas. They were bought out. While he still had control of the company, I felt like his decision making. He was heavily involved in Vistage and he was heavily involved in that type of group. And I think he valued the opinion very heavily of those peers or people he considered to be his peers that were fellow entrepreneurs and things like that. So I think groups like 1 Million Cups definitely, but I think obviously Vistage it can be a very costly organization to be involved in, but
Mhm.
he would tell stories about, hey, yeah, there was this cybersecurity breakthrough over at XYZ company, and they ended up paying a very expensive ransom. So this
Mhm.
is why we're doing this training. And I think if you build that network and say, hey, XYZ ABC company is now using, this financial training, and it's been really helpful. That passing that on by people that they view as their peers, as opposed to just traditional networking. But trying to go to peer groups in the area might be to your advantage.
That's a
Gotcha.
great
Thank you.
idea, Brad. Thank you. AJ and then Melinda, then Luis.
So, Joe, what's your revenue model? How do you get compensated
For the workshops or for my business?
for the business? Like you do, I believe you are giving
Mhm.
some upfront fee, like in terms of the workshops, but
Yeah, yeah. So the for my personal business, it's any as with any financial advisor, there's planning fees, assets under management, commission-based products, things of that nature. But for the workshops, the workshop is the product being offered, right? That's what's being charged fees for. They're not free. So that's the challenge, right? It's something that we're launching off new. It's adding to the scope of my services. It's not something that's we are doing lightly. There's a lot of test runs that we've done with that, and presenting is like my bread and butter, so I enjoy it. But yeah, for the personal business side of things, well, all the different things that you saw on the slide.
thank you.
Thanks, AJ. Melinda.
Morning, everyone. Two quick thoughts. And one was just the Business Journal has a wonderful book of lists. and they have companies in there, and they have companies that are the smaller companies that you can start targeting. They will give you contacts in it. And the other piece that I wanted to recommend is SHRM, SHRM. They
Mhm.
are the Association for HR Managers. I assume you're calling on HR people to get these appointments, not the president or anybody else, because usually the function of all of what you're doing financial planning comes out of HR because of the benefits that you're getting in the organization, and
Mhm.
trying to build the benefit so that the company has something better to offer their employees as well as new people that may become employees. And that may be a way you want to present yourself, that these are additional benefits that other companies don't do.
Right.
And
No,
maybe
and I
have the planning sessions twice a year or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's a lot of these companies, when you're talking to these HR benefits, what you realize is, yes, they have people like say through Fidelity or Vanguard that are that have these relationships with the companies. And when you go and you ask them, it's like, when was the last time you spoke to that guy or spoke to that advisor? They're like, oh, well, she hasn't reached out in in years. Like we're supposed to do that. It's like they're being grossly underserved, especially, if they're smaller in size. So we want to make sure that that's targeted. And yeah, SHRM is a great thing. Like we're hitting up SHRM as well. So thanks for vindicating my decision on doing that.
They have regional groups, so you can get
Yeah.
different communities. There are a whole bunch of them in the area.
Perfect. So I do have a
Yeah.
couple of folks raising their hands. So if you have additional comments, do please put them in chat. Or if you think we missed something, please drop it in chat as well. Luis, go ahead, please. Just
Hi, um, Joe. You mentioned, I thought I heard you mention that you were already hosting and having workshops already, and you had several of
Yeah.
them
Yes. Yep. Mostly outside of the state. Um,
outside of the state. Okay,
yeah.
so were they billable as well?
Yes. So we are working with a few medical practices, like in North Carolina and in Florida, and they were primarily like webinars. So it was not, in person.
Okay,
The idea is to be more intentional to do something within Virginia
okay,
and be bloom where you're planted, really. So that's the idea.
okay. And is it a, I'm sorry asking a couple of questions, but is it one company specific, or do you do a session where you invite many different companies for some sort of a a program
No,
orientation or awareness?
it's our company. We're not we're agnostic when it comes to the information being presented and the products being talked about. It's not going to be product heavy. It's very principle heavy. We have partnerships with, JP Morgan. We have partnership with Guardian. Like the content in itself is curated with a bunch of different companies, but the presentation is solely through financial growth partners.
But I mean, what I meant was, can you do this one on many, or does it have to be one on one?
Oh, the audience being a bunch of different companies.
Yep.
Ideally, I mean, you could scale it that way. Um, I the benefit is, hey, I'm going to go through a company's benefits package before I do a presentation, so it's better for me to curate it to one-on-one. Yeah.
thank you, Luis. And you can have a free follow-up because you've presented in the past. That's a perk. People from presenting apply to present at 1 Million Cups. All right, John Rutenberg, you're up.
Hey, thank you. And Joe, thank you so much for presenting. So I think I heard you say you're looking to meet companies in the size of 20 to 50.
Hmm.
Is that okay?
That's right.
And you're charging for these seminars.
Hmm.
So I'd like to challenge that. I, in a company of 20 to 50 people, you're dealing with the owner typically.
Right.
Okay, if you came to me and said you wanted to do a seminar for my firm, and again, folks who know me would say I'm maybe a hard, you know what. So recognizing that, um, I would challenge you on charging. Your
Hmm.
primary business is financial services.
Hmm.
To me, you coming into my company of 35 people and asking me to pay for you to come and talk to my people about the financial planning issues that are really painful and important. And by the way, I'd like to be hired by some of those people. I would suggest doing the seminars for free and eliminating that obstacle. And then you'll get higher reception.
Right. And I think that's where we've done to curate the materials we've curated is by doing them for free for years. And now the valuation that we've gone through different, CPAs and business valuation, they're like, it's time that you start charging money for this and take it to the marketplace. So that's why we're like, all right, how do we scale this up? Where that's why like it was initially within like, let's do it for free, let's see where it takes us. But now it's like we gotta monetize off of this. The information and the value add is just it can't be done for free anymore. But I understand. I understand the budgeting constraints, but there's also room for negotiation for the prices, right? It's not like we want to be fair, but also we don't want to be discrediting our services as well.
I'm going to build on what John said, and I'm wondering if there's a version that is free, that's not requiring the benefits package to be assessed. But if you did a talk, for example, let's say you did, I have to throw in LinkedIn because, I do. If you did targeted ads on LinkedIn for medical practices, for example, or law firms, is there a way where you could focus the content to be really relevant to that particular vertical so
Mhm.
that you increase your pipeline and you could still charge should you come in house. The other thing I haven't seen, and this is something to think about, is just what's the value proposition of the workshops? And is it really clear and compelling so that people are willing to pay? Like, what's the cost of not doing it? So I feel like there's a free component. It may not be in your arsenal yet, or maybe you've tried that. Just a thought.
We have a very, very short version that we take to like say like different exhibitor groups, so to speak. And when we're talking with like different networking groups, we can present a more uh how do you call it? A miniature version of the potential that we could talk about, not necessarily into the content.
Hmm.
Um, but it's largely been a marketing tool, right? And it's gotten us some success, but we're saying like, hey, we've done this enough where I don't know if it's like a psychological thing. It's like people pay attention and take you more seriously when you do charge a fee, like when you present it for free for years. You kind of get just brushed off, and we understand that there's competition for it, but that's the idea. It's like, hey, we're starting something new and we really believe in its value. Let's see where it goes.
Perfect. Well, I know we have several people queued up who have questions. The WellNet, Michael Boucher, please jump in.
Thanks, Jen. I want to go to where John was. I work in the association community, and I think charging in that community is going to be a difficult sale. I'm wondering, however, whether or not your problem when you were doing them for free wasn't that you did them for free, but what was your follow-up activity to generate, actual clients? And I think that that would be to your advantage to rethink that and to determine whether or not your follow-up activities really worked uh, for for organizations that are used to having people present freely. And it's
Mhm.
the follow-up that makes the sale, not the original presentation.
Right. So, quick clarifying thing. When I'm presenting these workshops, I'm not looking to onboard clients. The businesses and the workshop is the product, the business that wants the workshop is the client. So we've had that the point is not to add to my book of business. I have my separate book of business. This is largely an institutional thing that we're offering for folks, if that makes sense. So the follow-up and the stuff that we did in the past was for, yes, individual clients, but that's not our goal anymore. Our goal is to make the institution our clients.
Just a quick follow-up on that.
Mhm.
At least in the world, and I work in the association community, your chance of getting them, the organization, as a client is about 0% or less.
Mhm.
I think that the idea is not one that they are prepared to accept. And so you might want to rethink that.
When you say association, are you talking about which kind of
Oh,
association?
I'm talking about all the associations in the Washington, D.C. area. I
Mhm.
mean, they're medical associations, they're teacher associations, they're professional groups of accountants, they're professional groups of all kinds. The joke in the association community is there's an association for everything,
Mhm.
and there is. So I think that it's maybe the audience is a good question for what the right audience is within that community. Uh, I'd be happy to talk with you offline about what those possibilities are, so we don't waste other people's time.
Thank you, Michael. Melanie, please.
Really quickly, so I think there's an opportunity outside of small businesses that have like 25 or less employees. I worked for a medium-sized corporation, and it had about 1,000 employees.
Mhm.
And we had a leadership conference at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, where the executives would come out and we would have a dedicated week of meetings. We had conferences every day. We had speakers, and those individuals are all higher income, and they would be more open to investments and financial advisors because they have the resources to do so. And it's a very specific targeted market segment in that it's a medium-sized corporation who specializes in having like leadership summits for
Mhm.
their executives that are higher income that could, procure your services after the meeting is over. And those medium-sized companies may pay for you to present to their leaders because it is
Right.
specialized. It's not all employees, it
Right.
is their executives. And then additionally, those employees would have the net income to be able to afford your services after the conference. So it's just something. I don't know if you've explored that. That would be my question to you.
Yeah, and I think that falls in line with the SHRM recommendations. We're talking to like different conferences led by SHRM. And yeah, ideally we'd like to go after the big ponchos, so to speak. But we want to make an intentional effort to be like a community asset, right? We want to be fair with our pricing, and we want to be in a position where we're not there to, hey, with the underlying motive of getting clients, like we want your employees as clients. That's not the goal. The goal is we want to improve workplace culture, and that's our value add. And you're right, we talk to like SHRM and different conferences to see, hey, how can we improve that? But yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
Thank you for that, Maria. And then John Norse.
Thank you. Great presentation, Joe. So I had two little things. So your free presentation that you're trying to retire, were those specifically geared to, would there be an opportunity for you to gear your presentation to a specific industry or sector within an industry? So you provide in a wider scale
Mhm.
a presentation that is a little bit more than basic
Mhm.
with that benefits for the whole industry as um, that would actually open up, be a prequel to a targeted presentation. So because what you would like to get is speak to a whole a bigger group and then niche down because you're already proven to them your value
Yeah,
without, before you do that bigger ask.
right. So the niche down market is going to be smaller law practices and medical practices, what I would say. And that's what we learned from years of doing it is we've curated the content just like if you looked in the slide of the presentation, that's why we've niched down to like legal and medicine as the target audience. And but yeah, the watered down version of it could be I guess like could be taken to anybody. So, we have a saying, it's like the riches are in the niches, right? So that's why we curate it.
The one thing I'm thinking is if you don't prove to this audience
Hmm.
that you have the data and that makes you different
Right.
at a bigger scale, how would
Mhm.
they be able to identify what you're offering is better than the
Yeah.
competitor?
So I'm going to share something. It's not necessarily compliant approved. So we're still in the process. When I say compliant approved, I mean like it's not ready for marketing purposes just yet, but I can share my screen
Just a
if I
quick reminder, we are on Facebook Live, so if you care
okay,
about
gotcha.
that, I would maybe not do that. But
Okay,
you can share it
gotcha.
afterwards if you would like, or I'd recommend people have a one-to-one with Joe.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, the we've done some studies with PwC and Prudential and folks like that, and seeing like how can we target it to your point to certain industry sectors. But no, it's something that we've been talking about.
so we do have a couple more questions. So I want to make sure we keep things moving. We have about 4 minutes left if we push it a little bit. Thank you, Maria, for that
I
question and
have a
suggestion.
follow-up next question, so I can go at the
Okay,
end.
I'm gonna have John, Melinda, then I'll come back to you, Maria, and then I'll,
Yeah.
I'll wrap us up. John Norris.
Hey, Joe, I'm curious. You indicated that you have your AUM business and then other business, and that you
Hmm.
have this business. And I'm curious that if you go into an account and you charge them money,
Hmm.
are you saying that you wouldn't take someone's business if they said, I want to have you manage my money or buy policies from you? I'm just confused because
Hmm.
most people in your business will go into an organization, install a
Yeah.
401k, an IRA, put key
Mhm.
man life insurance on people. They don't charge a fee for that. They're in there just
Right.
helping the general masses. And I work with advisors. I work with advisors in Fortune 500 accounts,
Hmm.
providing our services at no fee.
Hmm.
I'm experiencing, I'm just scratching my head because I'm just trying, I can't for the last
Yeah.
45 minutes of me figure out what you're trying to accomplish by charge. I'm an employer that has almost 50 people. I wouldn't bring
Yeah.
you in here for a fee. There's no chance. So I'm just
Right.
trying to understand like what is going on.
Yeah, it is a corporate education agreement. That's the separate idea for what it is that we do. If people are coming in and saying like, "Hey, I like what you guys have to present. Let's have a conversation on a more individual, personal side." Sure, we'll entertain that conversation, but I'm kind of at a critical mass where I cannot onboard clients to my book anyway. So if you're going to have to come in, it has to be a good fit for us and it has to be good. But in terms of the corporate education side, that's the new scope that we're adding to the practice. It's literally a separate contract that says corporate education and it's going through like different kinds of venues, Park Avenue Securities, whatever we're taking through. And then we have different partnerships that can help you guys with your 401k and things like that. Our job is literally the education piece of it.
All right.
Thanks, John. And let's keep our questions and answers short as we go to wrap up. Melinda and then Maria.
What I wanted to recommend is that you have a workbook that you charge for and or a book. And they have to purchase that to
Yeah.
attend it. And that might be what you give them. So there's some gives and gets in what you're doing. If you guys haven't written a book yet about all of this stuff and a workbook that goes with it, that's something you really should consider. It would be part of the marketing that would bring it full circle and add more credibility. It would also give you the opportunity to speak in lots of locations because you've written the book about everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. The workbook is more digital in nature, more interactive in nature. But we don't have like something physically present. But that's something we could think about and walk through the exercise while we're actually going through the presentation.
All right, Maria.
So I'm having still a hard time. I'm not very well versed with HR yet, but I'm trying to understand what is the purpose of the these workshops. So what would be this life cycle within you coming to present this workshop, and what are you looking to get? And how does that come into play with your financial services?
Gotcha. So the financial services is the educational three-part education workshop that employees are getting from an agnostic third-party view, regardless of whether they do business with us or not, right? That's the idea. And we're trying to offer to them at a price and at a value that's comparable and that's less restrictive on what it is that we can recommend. And and ideally partnering with these companies to improve the employees' financial health and well-being at the fundamental level. And that's why I initially started off the conversation saying, all right, how can we target to folks that actually do care about the employees, but also believe that they can affect the employees' health and well-being? And the most basic way that we can go about it is to tackle finances and to affected in the most profound way is through education. And that's what the research is going to be focused on. But yeah, it's a third party agnostic view of the education, if that makes sense.
If I can jump in, I think one of the things maybe, Joe, that is a little bit of a disconnect, although I totally understand where you're coming from. As a speaker, I am happy to go speak to anyone about topics that I have expertise in.
Mhm.
And I don't need and I don't want everyone in the audience to become my client.
Right.
I do it because I love education and helping others. And I feel like that might be some of the disconnect. As a company, Financial Growth Partners, you guys are a top workplace culture excellence winner. Your company knows about building culture,
Mhm.
right? And so I'm wondering if the disconnect is that people are super excited about helping you generate revenue, but for
Mhm.
your financial planning, or is this as a vertical talk revenue idea? It is a self like standalone opportunity for revenue generation. And so I think what I'm hearing, or and I don't know, I'd love for folks to chime in and chat, is that there's an opportunity to clarify, hey, one of the services we provide is education because we care so much as a company about culture. We want to come talk to you about culture. We want to provide our, you know, yes, we have expertise in the financial piece, and that can be a part of it, but maybe it's shifting more about what you're talking about. And I think for your LinkedIn page, for example, I would want you to put that you're a speaker. I would want you to put these are the 3 workshops we give as a company. I would want you to put here's who we've given these talks to before. Because I think the brand you're competing with right now is the company brand of financial planning versus your personal brand, which is I want to be a speaker and talk about these things. And I think your company has employees who do the talks too, but just something to think about. Um, because James Lawson is amazing and also does lots of speaking as well. I'd love for him to chime in. And then, Marie, I'm going to have you share the slides and we will wrap up.
Yeah, it's just more an observation. I do think there's a few disconnects here, Joe, that we're seeing. It's hard for me to reconcile the mission of education and wanting to help people, but I'm also going to charge for that privilege to do it, right? And so to me, it's either one or the other. But I do understand the revenue generation piece. I just don't see it being a big revenue generation piece to charge for workshops. It's just not something that really sits well with a lot of people. But I think the bigger thing here is the messaging of why you're doing what you're doing and why that matters to someone who's a 25 to 50 person organization, right? Is probably where, to Maria's point, the free thing, albeit shorter, can be the lead into you getting a chance to go there and talk to the organization as a whole. And so I would kind of be looking at that. But I'm with John Norse here. I'm having a really tough time with this. I do a lot of speaking. I do it for free because I get it on the back end. That's the whole point. But I do love educating. And so, for me, it's more a point of if nobody buys my stuff, I don't care. It's been a great time and I've educated someone's walked away with something. But I also know that over the longer period that, that'll generate revenue some way, somehow further down the line. So I think that's where some of us having a really bad time trying to connect these dots a little bit. But that's their problem, my friend, not yours. But yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Well, I think, Joe, hopefully this has given you some food for thought. I definitely see a place for charging, and I also see a place for having something free. So maybe, let's talk offline. You have lots of people who've offered to help and continue the dialogue. What else can our 1 Million Cups community help you with today? What are some takeaways, or what are some things that have really given you some food for thought?
I've really greatly appreciated all the different venues and opinions that you guys have already, helped out with, whether it was with Sherm or Vistage or um, the other stuff. I'm also getting good feedback from the idea of like how receptive someone would be in the marketplace for something like this. So I think that's by far the most valuable piece to it. So it's a lot to like digest and a lot to like think about and see how we kind of pivot or how we refine what it is that we're trying to do in terms of the marketing side of things, and a lot of stuff that I want to address I can't because of compliance issues and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep that close to the heart. But no, it's the biggest thing is the different opinions and the real life experiences and the honest feedback. So thank you for that. And it's really I'm glad that I found you guys from obscurity, really. I didn't know how to be where I am here today. So thank you. And thank you, Jen, for putting together the presentation on such a crunch notice. Yeah.
Happy to. All right, I see a rebel. Tom Shipe, you have your hand raised. Was that on purpose? You trying to jump in with a last minute gem?
It is a last minute gem, no doubt. But Joe, each of the people that has spoken and offered advice is suggesting that you do a service for free in the beginning. You've rejected each of those. So my question is, or statement, you must be profitable. Is that correct?
Mhm.
There you go. All right, you're doing good. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Always got a rebel rouser jumping in last minute. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it back over to AJ to keep us going.
All right, thank you, Jen. And our next week's presenter is Pravneet Kohli. She is the owner of Novamorph, and please come in next week to our hybrid event where you will also enjoy the coffee, get to meet with her, and build connections. So next slide, please. So here are the upcoming events. Attend and network with each other and benefit each other. So John Rodenberg, if you can please upload the information onto the chat. Thank you. Next slide, please. So our next meeting, as I said, is a hybrid on November 4th at George Mason. Jen, can you talk more about this and the rest of the events?
Sure. So November is booked, people. We are super excited to have business owners come and present every week, the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th. Prop Meet is new. Battle and James and the Laundry Basket are returning. Some really fantastic stories from Hyacinth, so please join us. Thanksgiving week is a holiday. We love you, and we want you to have time with your family. In December, we have one presentation scheduled, December 3rd. We still have 2 openings. So if you're thinking of doing something before the end of the year or to kick off the new year with a new product or service, please come join us. There we go. And January is open. So let us know. We would love to have you apply. Roberta, we would love to have you. Any folks, if you've got an idea you're trying to pivot your business, we are the place for you. If you scan that QR code, you can not only look at all of our social, you can also apply. You can go to 1millioncups.com/Fairfax and apply directly to this group. I'll put that link in chat as well.
Okay. So folks, thank you for attending. hang on for a while, network with